Hey everyone, today we're going to take a technical article and break it down step by step to build a webhook system in .NET completely from scratch. No magic here, just a really solid blueprint that takes us all the way from concept to actual working code. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics, the what and why of webhooks. Then we'll roll up our sleeves and actually build a system in .NET from the ground up. After that, we'll test it out to see it in action, and finally, we'll talk about the super important steps to make it truly production ready. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the problem that webhooks are designed to solve. Imagine you've got an online store. Every single time a new order comes in, you need to let a bunch of other systems know, right? Your shipping system needs to know, your accounting system, maybe even a marketing system for sending a thank you email. So how do you do that without going crazy? Well, the answer is a webhook. A webhook is basically just an automated message that one application sends to another the instant something happens. Instead of your shipping system constantly asking the store, hey, got anything new? Anything new yet? How about now? The store system just tells it. It pushes the information out. And that's the key. It's a push, not a pull. And the flow is actually pretty simple. First, a client, like our shipping system, subscribes to an event, say order.created. It does this by giving the store a special URL. Then, when a new order actually comes in, bam, the store server sends an HTTP post request, a notification, right to that URL. The client gets it, says, got it, thanks, by sending back a 200 OK response. And if something goes wrong, a really well-built system will even try sending it again later. So we have this really elegant push method with webhooks. But to really get why it's such a big deal, let's compare it to the alternative, the old-school poll method, which is known as polling. This chart just makes it so clear. Polling is like that kid in the back of the car on a road trip, constantly asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's super inefficient, it wastes resources for both sides, and there's always a delay. A webhook, on the other hand, is like getting a single text message the moment you pull into the driveway. It's event-driven, incredibly efficient, and it is truly real-time. Now, with all that power comes some responsibility. Webhooks are absolutely fantastic for instant updates and efficiency, but you've got to think about things. What happens if the receiver's server is down when you send the message? That's a reliability issue, and security is a huge deal. You have to make sure your endpoints are properly secured. So it's a bit of a trade-off you make for all that power and speed. All right, that's enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. It's time to map out exactly how we're going to build our own simple but totally functional webhook system using .NET. This is our 5-step blueprint. First, we have to define what a subscription actually looks like in our code. Then we'll need a place to store them. We'll start with something simple in memory. After that, we'll build the public-facing door for clients to subscribe. Then comes the engine, the dispatcher that sends the notifications. And finally, we'll create an event that kicks the whole process off. Okay, time for the main event, the code. We are going to walk through every single piece of our blueprint. And I'm not just going to flash code on the screen. We're going to break it down and really understand the why behind every important choice we're making. We're going to start at the very foundation, our data model. Now, you might notice we're using a C# record here, and that is a very deliberate choice. See, records are mutable. What does that mean? It means once we create a webhook subscription with its ID, event type, and URL, it's essentially locked in. Its state can't be accidentally changed later. In a system that might be juggling notifications all over the place, this is huge for preventing weird bugs and keeping our data consistent and predictable. So there we have it. Our data model is simple, it's robust, and it's safe by design, all thanks to using a record. Okay, so how do other applications actually tell us they want to subscribe? Well, that's what this code is for. We're setting up a public HTTP endpoint. Think of it like a mailing address for our service. It lives at /webhooks/subscriptions. When a client sends a post request to that address with their desired event type and their webhook URL, this little chunk of code wakes up, it creates a brand new webhook subscription record, tucks it away in our repository, and then sends back a success response. This is the simple but absolutely essential front door to our entire system. And just like that, with a few lines of code, our public-facing subscription door is officially open for business. Now we get to the real heart of our system, the webhook dispatcher. When an event happens, this dispatch async method gets called, and its logic is beautifully simple. First, it goes to our repository and asks, hey, who cares about this particular event? It gets back a list of all the matching subscriptions, then it just loops through them. For every single subscriber, it uses .NET's HTTP client to fire off an asynchronous post request to their registered URL, packing up all the event data, the payload, as JSON. This is the engine that does all the heavy lifting. So yeah, this is the engine that drives all of that real-time communication we've been talking about. Okay, finally, we have to tie this all together with a trigger. We've got all these pieces, but nothing happens until an event actually occurs. This code sets up a new endpoint for creating orders. When a client sends a post to /orders, our system creates the order, saves it, and then comes the magic moment. We call await dispatcher.dispatch async. We pass in the event type, order.created, and the new order object itself. This single powerful line is what sets our entire notification chain in motion.
And that right there is the spark. That's the first domino that starts the whole chain reaction.
We've built it, now we have to prove it works. Let's run through a really quick test simulating exactly what would happen in the real world, from an external service subscribing all the way to it getting that final notification. First up, an external service needs to subscribe, so it sends a post request to our /webhooks subscriptions endpoint. The body of the request is just some simple JSON. It tells us the event it cares about, order.created, and the URL where we should send the data. We're using a handy service here called Webhooks Site, which is perfect for just catching and displaying these kinds of requests. Okay, so after we trigger a new order for a customer, let's call her Alice, we can check our test URL. And bam! Look at that, a post request has arrived. And if we look at the payload, it's got everything the receiver needs, the event type, and inside that data object, the full details of Alice's order. It works. Success! Our system is functional, which is a huge win, and this is a big but, taking this simple in-memory proof of concept and making it strong enough for a real production environment, that's going to take a few more critical steps. This right here is the checklist to harden our system. Persistence is number 1. Our in-memory list gets wiped out on a restart, so a real database is absolutely essential. Performance becomes critical when you have lots of subscribers, so you look into using a message queue to handle dispatching without blocking your main app. And you absolutely cannot go to production without thinking about retries for failed deliveries and real security, like using secret tokens so you can verify that the webhooks you're sending are authentic. These are pretty much non-negotiable for a production-grade system. So there you have it. We've gone through the what, the why, and the how of building a webhook system from scratch in .NET. We've seen it's not some kind of dark magic. It's just a really logical, powerful, event-driven pattern. So the question I want to leave you with is, what's happening in your own applications right now that's just waiting to become a webhook? Happy coding!